Okay, so we're going to dive into a pretty wild 7-day experiment. It takes one of the most common pieces of advice you hear about studying and puts it to the ultimate test. What happens when someone actually tries to follow it, like perfectly? Let's find out.
I mean, you've heard this a million times, right? Study 8 hours a day and you'll succeed. It's that classic advice you get when you're cramming for a big exam or trying to learn something new. It sounds so simple, almost like, a guaranteed recipe for success. But let's be real for a second. Is that even possible for most people? Or is it just a one-way ticket to complete and total burnout? Well, that's the big question this whole experiment was designed to answer. So for this journey, we're not going to treat this advice as a gospel. Instead, let's look at it for what it might be. A myth, a really popular idea that almost nobody has actually put through a serious, real-world test. Okay, so the goals here were super clear. 3 big questions needed answers. First, can you even do this? Can you actually keep that level of focus day after day? Second, does putting in all that time really get you better results? And maybe the most important one, what's the real cost of trying? All right, to make sure this was a legit test of discipline and not just, messing around, they set up some really strict rules. This was all about pure, honest, focused work. No cutting corners. And yeah, when I say strict, I mean it. These rules were ironclad. Rule 1, 8 full hours of study tracked honestly. Rule 2, your phone gets put away, out of sight, out of mind. 3, a rigid 50-minute study, 10-minute break cycle. You might know it as the Pomodoro method. 4, and this is a big one, at least 7 hours of sleep every single night. And finally, number 5, 0 multitasking. None. If you broke any of these rules, the whole challenge was a bust.
So, with those rules locked in, the 7-day gauntlet officially kicked off. And, well, let's just say the journey was not a walk in the park. You can really see the whole week had this emotional roller coaster vibe. It kicked off with a ton of confidence on day 1, but then came days 2 and 3, which were just a total nosedive into what we can only call the struggle. But just when things looked bleak, something shifted, a real breakthrough into this incredible focus mode.
And look, they were super honest about this part. Days 2 and 3 were the absolute rock bottom of the whole experience. Your brain just goes into overdrive trying to find any excuse to quit. You know that little voice that whispers, "Come on, one tiny break won't hurt." Yeah, that was on full blast. This is the exact point, that wall, where most of us would probably just throw in the towel.
And this is where the biggest lesson from that struggle really hits home. Motivation, it's just a feeling. It's awesome when it's there, but it disappears. Discipline, on the other hand, is a system. It's that commitment you made to yourself. It's what you rely on to drag you through the mud when your motivation has completely checked out.
But here's the twist. Just when it seemed like the mental battle was won, a whole new threat started to creep in. Because pushing your mind and body this hard, for this long, well, it comes with a price.
By the time day 6 rolled around, the physical toll was undeniable. We're not talking about just being a little sleepy. This was a deep, bone-weary exhaustion. The body and the mind were basically screaming that they were hitting a breaking point.
And yep, that's pretty much the textbook definition of burnout. It's not just working hard for a day or two. It's that relentless, prolonged stress without giving yourself enough time to actually recover. What this experiment showed is that even with smart breaks and decent sleep, the sheer volume of intense focus can push you right to the brink.
So, okay, after a full week of intense focus, a massive struggle, and coming dangerously close to burnout, what's the final takeaway? What did we actually learn from this incredibly tough challenge? First, let's just look at the raw numbers. 56 hours. That's 56 hours of real, honest-to-goodness, focused study. To put that into perspective for you, that's more truly distraction-free, deep work than a lot of people manage to do in an entire month. So the first big takeaway is, wow, it actually is possible. So it all really boils down to 5 main lessons. 1. Yes, you can study for 8 hours a day, but you absolutely need a rigid structure to do it. 2. The first 3 days are the real battleground. It's a mental game. 3. Sleep isn't a luxury. It's a non-negotiable superpower for recovery and focus. 4. The quality of your focus is way more important than just the number of hours you put in. And 5, and this is maybe the most crucial point, this is not a technique for beginners.
And we need to be really, really clear about this part.
If you're just starting out trying to build good study habits, please do not try this. Seriously, you're probably just going to crash and burn and then feel terrible about it. The smart way to do it is to start small, like 3 or 4 hours a day. Build that discipline muscle first. This whole 8-hour marathon, that's for people who've already done the training and have a solid foundation to stand on. So in the end, the experiment proved it. The 8-hour study day isn't a myth. It's possible. But it also showed that it's a special tool for specific high-stakes situations. It's not a sustainable lifestyle. It's more like a final exam for your discipline. Which kind of leaves us with one last question. But this one's for you. Where are you on your own journey of focus? And what's the next step in your training?